Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome to the Global Brief by OneRead.news, where we present you information from all over the globe. Today, we're going to do something a little different. Think of it like a treasure hunt through the day's headlines. You know how it feels, like you're lost in a jungle of information. Well, today we're giving you the map, and the treasure we're looking for? A little thing called understanding.
So, let me ask you this. What on earth do these three things have in common? A high-stakes diplomatic campaign, a tech startup with some serious guts, and a fossil of an ancient human. On the surface, the answer is, well, absolutely nothing, right? Sounds like the setup to a really weird joke. It's what reading the news feels like pretty much every single day, doesn't it? Just this chaotic, overwhelming mess of totally random events, all screaming for your attention.
But what if I told you they aren't random at all? What if there's a hidden story, an invisible thread tying them all together? Well, today, we're putting on our detective hats. We're going to take all the jumbled up news from a single day, let's just call it August 14th, 2025, and we are going to find those threads. Our mission is to turn this confusing list of headlines into one single understandable story about the world we live in. Okay? Let's dive in.
First up, let's take a look at the grand geopolitical chessboard. And when I say chessboard, I really mean it. This isn't checkers. These aren't simple little jumps. This is more like 4D chess, played by world leaders across multiple boards all at the same time. Every single country, big or small, is constantly shifting, testing defenses, and trying to handle alliances that are, let's just say, complicated. It is a very, very high-stakes game.
And right out of the gate, you see two completely different ways of dealing with the exact same challenge: unpredictable American policy. It's really fascinating. On one side, you've got America's traditional allies, Germany and the EU. Now, ahead of this massive summit between President Trump and Putin, they aren't firing back with their own threats. No, they're trying to manage the situation. They're drawing these red lines over Ukraine's security, basically saying, look, we'll work with you, but these are the lines you cannot cross. These are our deal breakers. It's a classic diplomatic dance. But then you look over at Brazil. Facing a huge 50% US tariff, they're not just negotiating, they're building an economic fortress. This $5.5 billion sovereign Brazil plan is all about shielding their economy, making it strong enough to weather any storm. It's like they've decided, you know what, we're done playing by the old rules. We're just going to build higher walls.
But you know, this global chess game isn't just for the superpowers. Sometimes the most intense and frankly the most dangerous conflicts happen right next door, between neighbors who've held a grudge for a very, very long time. So let's zoom in a little bit to Southeast Asia, where a rivalry that's been simmering for years looks like it's about to boil over.
The situation between Thailand and Cambodia has all the makings of a real disaster. You've got troops moving towards the border, which sets everyone on edge immediately. But the scariest part? It's the ground itself. This whole area is littered with unexploded landmines from wars fought long ago. So any troop movement, any miscalculation could trigger a catastrophe that nobody wants. And the ripple effects are already spreading. Supply chains are getting tangled up, regional logistics are a mess, and on a really human level, you're seeing boycotts of Thai products in Cambodia. This tells you it's gone from a political issue to something deeply personal. This is a huge test for ASEAN, the group of nations that's supposed to keep the peace in the region. And the big question everyone's asking is, can they actually do anything when things get this tense?
This quote, it just absolutely nails the dynamic you see playing out, especially in the Democratic Republic of Congo right now. It is the world's most dangerous game of he said, she said. See, in a proxy conflict, big powers don't fight each other directly, they just back opposing sides in someone else's war. So the DRC's army points at the M23 rebels and says, they broke the ceasefire and they're backed by Rwanda. At the exact same time, the rebels point right back and say, nope, the army is about to launch a massive attack. So why are they both doing this? Well, it's a race. It's a race to look like the victim on the world stage. Because whoever convinces the world that they're just defending themselves gets a free pass to do whatever they want next. It's a public relations war that always comes before the shooting starts.
So that's the political game board. Now let's switch arenas, because the exact same strategic moves are happening in the world of economics and technology. The players just have different titles, like CEO and innovator. And the prize isn't territory, it's market share, billions of dollars, and basically control over what our future is going to look like.
Just let that number sink in. $34.5 billion. That is the absolutely mind-blowing amount of cash that an AI startup called Perplexity just offered to buy Google's Chrome browser. I mean, this is one of the boldest corporate moves I think I've ever seen. You've got Google, this absolute giant, already in hot water over a massive antitrust case. Everyone's whispering they might be forced to sell Chrome anyway.
And then Perplexity, this relative upstart, just strolls in and says, "Hey, don't worry about it. We'll take that off your hands for you." It's incredible. It's this perfect storm of AI ambition, high-stakes legal drama, and just pure uncut corporate nerve. Okay, you ready for this? This US-China chip deal is a masterclass in irony and unintended consequences. Let's walk through it. Step 1. The US goal is simple enough, right? They want to slow down China's AI progress by cutting off their access to the best American computer chips. Step 2. The deal. To do this, tech giants like NVIDIA and AMD can sell to China, but they have to pay a 15% fee to the US government for the privilege. Step 3. The companies get their licenses, they're happy. But then you get to the giant trapdoor at step 4. Think about it. If you're China, what did you just learn from this? You learned that the US will use technology as a political weapon and tax you for it. So what's your only logical move? You pour every single dollar you have into making your own chips, so you never have to rely on America again.
This quote from our source material just puts the perfect point on it. It is savage, but it's true. The whole policy was designed to contain China. But what it actually did was give them the motivation, and the money, frankly, to become a direct competitor. The US is literally using a tax on technology sales to fund its own government, while that very same policy is forcing its main rival to become self-sufficient. I mean, you couldn't write a better plot twist.
So, while governments and corporations are duking it out over silicon chips, something else is happening. Digital money is having a moment, a big one. Bitcoin just smashed through its old records to hit a new all-time high. So what's going on? What's lighting the rocket fuel here? Well, it's pretty much the same stuff that's pushing the traditional stock market up. There's a sense that some of these geopolitical tensions are maybe cooling off, and a strong belief that central banks might make borrowing money cheaper soon. And when investors feel that way, they get brave. They start moving money out of safe, boring things and into bigger, bolder bets. They call it a risk-on appetite. And they're pouring that cash into both stocks and crypto. This really shows that Bitcoin isn't in its own little weird corner of the internet anymore. It's riding the exact same economic waves as Wall Street.
And that brings us to our third act. So far, we've seen power from the top down, from presidents and CEOs. But power's never a one-way street, is it? So now, we're going to look at power from the bottom up. This is the constant, messy, but absolutely vital struggle between ordinary people and the states that try to govern them. These are the stories about who's really in control. Let's start in Peru, which is home to one of the most staggering political patterns I've ever seen. The former president, Martín Vizcarra, was just jailed ahead of a bribery trial. And here's the thing, he is the count them, 5 former Peruvian presidents to be put behind bars. This chart says it all. In Peru, the presidency has become a revolving door that leads straight to a courtroom. And this isn't just a story about a few bad apples. This suggests that the entire justice system has been turned into a political weapon. The new rule of the game seems to be, why even bother trying to beat your opponent in an election when you can just get them arrested?
And this is where the dots start connecting in a really troubling way. Now look at Mali. The military junta there just arrested a major political opponent. And what was their official reason? An anti-corruption investigation. Does that sound familiar? So on the left, you have Peru, a democracy, using its justice system as a political tool. And on the right, you have Mali, a military dictatorship, using the idea of justice as a political tool. It's the exact same playbook, just wearing a different uniform. It's a powerful reminder that shouting, "I'm fighting corruption," is one of the most effective political moves in the world, whether you actually mean it or not.
Of course, when people feel that power is being used against them, they don't just sit there and take it, they push back. And as we can see here, that pushback comes in some fascinatingly different flavors. In Serbia, it's raw, it's physical. You have student-led protests being met by these violent, organized counter-protesters. It's an ugly old trick to try and make a peaceful movement look like a violent riot. Then, you go halfway across the world to India. The fight there isn't in the streets, it's a battle over information. You have huge crowds protesting what they call a digital misinformation campaign against an ancient temple. It's a clash between ancient faith and modern technology. And then, maybe the most powerful form of pushback is also the quietest. In Afghanistan, where the Taliban has banned women from education, a refugee is teaching online coding classes to women still inside the country. There's no marching, no shouting, just quiet, defiant resistance, one laptop at a time.
So, while all these citizens are pushing from below, the governments themselves are making their own calculated moves on the world stage, managing relationships and trying to shape their own national stories. And these moves can be about building cooperation for the future, or about finally dealing with a very painful past. I mean, this contrast is just perfect. It shows you the two very different sides of diplomacy. On the left, you have a thoroughly modern, totally pragmatic deal Mexico transfers 26 wanted cartel members to the US. It's a clear, transactional signal of cooperation with the Trump administration. It's all about today's problems. But on the right, you have a diplomatic move that is entirely about yesterday. The president of France officially admits that his country used repressive violence during Cameroon's decolonization. This isn't a deal, this is a reckoning. It's a painful but really necessary step to try and heal a historical wound so they can build a better future. Two acts of diplomacy on the same day. One managing the present, the other trying to fix the past.
All right, for our final section, we're going to look at stories of innovation and revelation. These are the kinds of stories that pull us in two directions at once. They give us a glimpse of the future we're trying to build, while at the same time, they're rewriting the deep past that we're still trying to understand.
Okay, quick vocabulary lesson before we go any further, because this term is really important. It's called a circular economy. Now I know, it sounds kinda academic and complicated, but I promise you, it's dead simple. Think about it. For most of human history, our economy has been linear. We take stuff from the ground, we make something with it, and when we're done, we throw it away. Take, make, waste. A straight line to a landfill. A circular economy bends that line into a circle. The whole idea is to design things from the start so there is no away. Everything is reused, recycled, or regenerated back into nature. The goal is to create a system with zero waste.
And here is exactly why that concept is so important. A new study just dropped, and it is a massive game changer. It confirms that you can make top-quality solar panels using 15% recycled glass, and they work just as well as brand new ones. This is huge. You know, solar panels are one of our best tickets to a green future, but making them still takes a lot of energy and creates waste. This discovery proves we can literally build the tools for our future out of the trash from our past. It's a perfect, real-world win for that circular economy idea.
And this big shift from talking about ideas to actually doing them is also happening in the world of climate change. For years and years, the whole conversation was about making these big, flashy promises, right? Pledging net zero emissions by 2050. Well, as this timeline shows, that era is over. A huge climate summit just kicked off in Australia, and nobody there is debating if they should act. The entire conversation has pivoted to how. They're getting into the nitty-gritty details. How much money do we need? Which specific investments do we make? What policies will actually get us to our targets? The age of just making promises is dead. Welcome to the age of show me the receipts.
And just like that, from the far future, we leap to the impossibly distant past. I absolutely love this quote. In Ethiopia, researchers just unearthed fossilized teeth from a human ancestor we never even knew existed, a whole new branch on our family tree from 2.65 million years ago. And every time something like this happens, it's just this perfect little reminder that nothing is ever really set in stone, not even the things we find in stone. It means our understanding of where we came from is changing just as fast as the technology that's deciding where we're going. Our story is a book that's being written from both ends at the same time.
So let's go back to our original question. What do a diplomatic campaign, an AI startup, and an ancient fossil have in common? Well, as it turns out, everything. They're all pieces of the same puzzle, the story of one single day on planet Earth. We saw that strategic posturing, that chess game being played everywhere, from the EU setting red lines with Russia to that wild bid perplexity AI made for Chrome. We saw how deeply our economies are all tied together, how a tariff in Washington creates a multi-billion-dollar reaction in Brazil. We saw the raw power of people pushing back, whether it's loud and in the streets of Serbia or quiet and defiant in an online classroom in Afghanistan. And we saw that technology is always a dual-edged sword. It's used as a weapon for misinformation in one place and as a tool for liberation in another. See? It all connects.
If you enjoy connecting these dots with us every day, please make sure to follow us on Spotify and YouTube. You can catch this explainer every single morning at 8 a.m. GMT.
Our whole goal here is simple. We want to foster thinkers, not followers. We sincerely hope that by bringing you just the facts and showing you how they connect, we've empowered you to form your own clear understanding of this complicated world. Your support helps us in our mission. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Global Brief. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Until then, keep smiling and making this world a better place for everyone.